Yes, my friends, welcome back. The news ain't stopping anytime soon, and in today's latest video, we discuss Kante contract extension updates. We talk Mason Mount as the truth is finally revealed around his current contract standoff with our football club, and to move on, Pochettino reveals how he plans to use Kante Nkunku. So right now, my friends, I hope you guys are getting ready for the summer. We're finally starting to cook up very slow right now. We're focusing on selling players first and releasing guys that surplus requirements. And once enough players leave, the signings will be coming, and it seems like Pochettino is going to have some incredible options to turn to for next season. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. 2,500 likes. Without wasting any more time, right now let's start with the first story and let's discuss N'Golo Kante, because this news was revealed by Fabrizio Romano on his podcast. And I was kind of getting this impression, I discussed this before in previous videos, but it does seem like the contract extension that was negotiated with Kante that was very close to being finalized. And you can probably guess why, sadly. Kante picked up another injury recently, and I'd imagine that this time things are going to be questioned. I've always felt like Pochettino has to formally announce his intentions too for N'Golo Kante. It seems like the recent injury has swayed the board's decision. We wait to see whether Kante does sign on, or whether we decide to let him move on. And for me, these recent reports around Caicedo, like, they aren't here for no reason, right? I am kind of getting the impression that we are considering letting Kante leave to sign like the younger replacement in Caicedo, who probably is set to take over the mantle left by N'Golo Kante. And with Paris Saint-Germain and other clubs that have the possibility to afford Kante, offer his wages as well too, we could take off a high earner off our wage bill while supplementing our squads with a younger replacement who's on way less money. That's getting amortized over the length of this new guy's contract, which is on average around 6 to 8 years. So I see the business sense behind this. Of course, the sentimental sense, my sense of fandom. I would like to see N'Golo Kante lift the Premier League one more time. And I do feel like that experience that he does bring, it is useful. But at the same time, last season, barely got to play. And he's playing for a few games. He's breaking down again now. It does get you thinking, especially now that this contract is probably going to be his final one and one of his most important ones if he does remain with us. So, I'm not liking what the future has in store for Kante. I do hope that he's able to try and come back in time for pre-season, try and rehabilitate well and get his fitness back. Very unfortunate. And I'm always going to feel this though. I blame all the managers over the years that have constantly rushed this guy back time and time again. They're the reason why his body is currently breaking down. Because before that, this guy didn't have any injury histories, but he's constantly rushing the international scene with his clubs. I remember when Sarri in the Europa League final, I think Kante played the whole game. We were 4-0 up. We won that game by far margins. Now, we could have taken him off and allowed him to rest, but that's been the mindset of so many coaches, because Kante is very key when he's fully fit. And we saw that against Real Madrid when we won the Champions League, because for me, without N'Golo Kante, we don't win it. So this guy has been incredibly important for us, and I'm hoping that his send-off doesn't go out sad like this right now. But that's the latest reports around Kante. Still a lot more can evolve and change, but share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel? Is it the right time to consider letting Kante leave? Let us know below. So right now, my friends, let's discuss this very insightful and revealing article from Football London. In the article, it does stress that an anonymous source has provided the information. And listen, this information in this article, shout out to the journalist for getting this done. Yeah, it reveals quite a lot. And I think it finally gives us some answers to some unanswered questions. So I'm not going to waste no more time. Let's get straight into this. And this story starts right before the World Cup. And during the time, Mount felt like an agreement was very close. And that was because there was a current understanding with Todd Bowley and Mr. Eghbali over image rights, with image rights being like one of the biggest obstacles in these contract extension talks. But at that time, before the World Cup, a compromise was believed to have been made and a deal was very, very close. However, post-World Cup, once that ended, Mount returned back to a club that had evolved a bit. You know, there was no Paul Winstonley, there was no Lawrence Stewart at the time, there was no transfer team in that sense. You know, he was talking directly to Boehly and co. And once he returned back from this World Cup, the offer was taken away and it wasn't available anymore. It wasn't until near the end of January, during February, where talks opened up again. And we finally get some answers to a recent rumour and report that's been circulating. And it mentions that Mount was offered a 1-year extension with a higher salary. And obviously, you know, I was feeling quite cynical at the time. I'm not feeling cynical anymore. It was clearly a ploy to be able to boost his market value. We understand that the club want around £70 million if they sell Mount now. And if he had more years left on his deal, then of course, they could get the price they want if they sell Mount. Let's see things from Mount's perspective for a little bit, yeah? Before the World Cup, you felt the deal was basically close to being finalised and the agreement was there. And then it gets taken away from you, and the club offers you a ridiculous offer in place. I mean, what serious player at this level who has high sporting ambitions is going to take an offer like that? Like, you'd be crazy to. Now, let's go back to 1 month ago. And 1 month ago, Boehly and Mason Mount had more talks. The article says that Boehly wanted to see where Mount's head was at, how he was doing, like catch up with things. And Mount revealed that there had been no new offers in place since the last time an offer was made. And you know what, I can probably understand things, you know, contextually. I mean, Graham Potter gets sacked. The guys are really focused on, you know, his future. And when he does get sacked, they have to focus on the replacements instead. And that's going to take up a lot of time. So I can understand that distraction. But I think one interesting thing in the article is that obviously when Nagelsmann and Pochettino are having their interviews, both managers made it aware that Mason Mount was part of their plans and they wanted to work with him. And it seems like due to this willingness for managers to want Mount in their squads, it seems like that could potentially, of course, open up possibilities that Mount and contract talks could continue again. But let's see what happens, because as we're seeing with current reports, Man United are going in hard right now to try and sign him for their team. You know, Ten Hag is desperate for Mason Mount. Liverpool have been long-term admirers too for a very long time. And obviously you'd imagine that the offers they're giving Mount far eclipse the offer we've given him and actually satisfy like most of his needs. Now, going back to the article, I mentioned this in my video, I think like a month or two ago, about how an agent had been brought in to help liaise things, to help try and find a workaround in terms of negotiations. And this agent in particular would be taking over the place of Mason Mount's dad, who was holding like a lot of talks with the club over contracts. So it's nice that this news I heard was confirmed, but at this moment, still no breakthroughs. And you know what? I want you guys to give your thoughts and opinions behind things. I think this article is good. I think there was starting to become this thing where people were seeing Mount in a bad light. Like he's picking finances and personal gain and wealth over playing for this football club. I think a lot of the criticism has been very like harsh as per, you know, very cynical as well too. But for me, I completely understand why he has his current stance. I mean, I'm sorry, like we're really messing him around. How we're like giving contracts and taking them back and then offering completely different new demands. I mean, all this guy wants really is like a contract between 4 to 5 years, wage parity close to guys like Reece James and others, and that's like around like 200k to 250k. And let's not forget that we give performance-related contracts. So these guys' base fees aren't going to be 200k plus. If they perform, they could earn more for the week. If they perform, they could earn closer to the overall worth of the contract per week. And I'm sorry, like from a sporting perspective too, if Man United are looking to target your guy to improve their midfield, to take their midfield to the next level, like, are you going to allow rivals that are going to be near us next season to actually gain a competitive advantage? Because Mount's going to boost their systems. You know, Ten Hag has wanted to work with this guy for years, and Mount playing in the Liverpool system too, that high energy game pressing style. I mean, come on, he would easily suit that style to a T. So I think there has to be some serious conversations at this football club. I just kind of feel like one of the, you know, unofficial poster boys of the club, for him to just kind of be discarded and moved on. I don't know, you know, you keep these guys for the sake of like unity, keeping that Chelsea spirit alive within the squad. You guys know my thoughts already, so I'm hoping something hopefully can get finalized, because now you can't be going out like this. It doesn't make any sense to me, to be fair. But regardless, my friends, we've got 2 more stories left. And now let's finally talk Christopher Nkunku. Now, for a guy that was one of our first signings for the new season, there hasn't been too much conversation around him. But naturally, as his announcements getting closer and closer, of course more reports are coming out, and we're finally starting to get an indication behind how Pochettino might be using Nkunku for next season. It starts like this. The main position we're hoping to use Nkunku in is behind the striker. So is that already implying that 4-2-3-1 could be like the standard formation that Pochettino turns to? With Ugarte and Enzo in that pivot, I mean, that's beautiful. Nkunku in front with that freedom to like link up and operate. Because you can't forget this about Nkunku. It'd be very easy to just focus on what he's done the past 2 years. Playing closer to goal, playing as a striker, in behind a striker. But this guy has played tons of games in midfield as an 8, as an attacking mid, as a wide playmaker. Having someone like this behind your striker that can also drop into midfield when he needs to, drift right when he needs to, running behind when he needs to. This is what Nkunku can offer the team. And I'm not going to be surprised by this because reports also confirm the fact that Pochettino has prioritized Nkunku over Joao Felix. Now, of course, I'm a little bit sad that Felix doesn't get another opportunity for next season. I'm still kind of crossing my fingers in a way to hope that something can be struck, because I would like to see him just for another season on loan to see what he can bring. I was seeing things in Felix this season. It's a shame that we'll never get the final conclusion on him. But getting back to things, Pochettino prioritizing Nkunku and seemingly Kai Havertz, with rumours that have been floating around now suggesting that Havertz could be in line to sign a new contract because he's very appreciated at the football club. So that's the main way in which we're hoping to use Nkunku. Now, there is a plan B, but this plan B is obviously centered around the fact, can we sign a striker for next season or not? Is Lukaku going to come back and give things a go for a 4th time? Probably not. Can we get Osimhen? Very expensive. And naturally, if we can't get a striker, there are plans to use Nkunku as a number 9, which is also another role he could do. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking, Nini, like going back to using a false 9 again, it's not really taken us to another level. It's never really properly worked like that. And I agree. But I think there's been some reasons behind why we've never really seen it work. I think number 1, constant attacking rotation all the time. Number 2, the system might get used for a game or two, then we're using a completely different one for the next game. And number 3, we've never really built any like continuity playing properly without a striker. Now, I don't think it's an impossible thing for us to not be able to achieve, even when we played with the strikerless teams last season. I did see times in game where we were causing some issues to the opposition because their defenders didn't know who to mark or who to pick up. But if you want that system to work, how you coach these guys, how you drill them on patterns of play, ways to break teams down, focusing on those details to really maximize this way of playing without a striker. Is this something Pochettino might implement during pre-season? We play over like 6 games in pre-season. Finally, we'll have a full squad that's not going to be bloated. It could be a possibility. And all I'm saying is that it wouldn't surprise me if Pochettino is able to crack that code and help us play without a striker. Now, I'm hoping we do bring in a number 9, but at the same time, it's got to be the right number 9. I'm not signing no desperation forwards. I'm actually scarred by how many strikers have failed at this football club. It's been like this since I was a kid, yeah? So I'm hoping that if we can't secure a striker, we're putting in the groundwork to get one for the following season, or even the January window. I think that is the best way to do things. So that is it, my friends. That is the latest news behind Nkunku. Like, how excited are you for Nkunku? Like, what's one thing you're hoping to see from him? Is it the celebrations? Is it the goals? Is it the skills? Let us know below. That is all the latest updates that have dropped today. Like, I'm thinking to myself, could it be a situation where I could even do like 3 videos in a day? Because there's so many stories of interest and importance that I could have discussed today. But I don't think you guys want to be here for like 20 minutes plus. Let's keep things real. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are going to stay tuned with me this summer for all the latest news on BlueLionsTV. And on that note, I'll see you guys in a bit. Thank you for watching.